Hello, my name is Ms.B. I'm a hospitality coach and consultant. It's a pleasure to welcome you again to another episode of Be Inspired. And for the benefit of those of you that are joining us for the first time today, what is Be Inspired? Here on this platform, we're here to inspire, encourage, inform, I'll say create awareness, and also enlighten and motivate those that might not, yet know what this career path is all about, especially young millennial females. So it's always a delight to give a voice for them to share their career journey. Besides that, other professionals also within and linked to this industry to also share their perspective about the potentials and prospects that lie within this career path. So every week is always a delight to also use this platform to champion female inclusion in a sector I have coined HAT, hospitality, aviation, and tourism. So today it's a pleasure and delight to be hosting another dynamic female pace setter. So let's see if she comes soon, and then she will join us in this conversation. So bear with me as I get her to join us. Koma, I think you have to do whatever you did the last time because I'm not able to connect you. I think maybe there's something you did before. Please, if you can hear me, go ahead and do that. And then I will have the proper Koma Club link. Yes, fantastic. So there you are. Like I said, this platform is about championing those I also call future females, hospitality divas, those that are going to make a difference in our industry. So fantastic, Precious, lovely to see you. Fantastic. I'm so excited. Let me move my camera a little bit because I think that my audience has lost my face a bit. Let's see. Okay, fantastic. So I think now we can see each other well. So my dear audience, like I was telling you, so this platform is about championing female inclusion and also sharing different aspects to do with that. A sector I have coined hospitality, aviation, and tourism. So I'm delighted to have one more dynamic female pace setter in the house again today to come and share her perspectives with us. So without much ado, because she's the most important person in the house, let me just give a brief introduction because we want to improve the quality of the information that is available here to everyone as well. So I'm delighted to introduce my guest today. She is somebody that describes herself as a self-described as African culture enthusiast and also a culture advocate. Precious, as I know her, I will still have her pronounce all her fantastic name that she has, is the founder of Koma Club, Koma Initiative. She's committed to instilling a sense of identity and pride by rekindling the interest and reconnecting the Nigerian and African youth to their cultural roots. Through history, cultural lifestyle, and travels. Interesting, I must say. She has been inspired by the wealth of intriguing cultures she has been exposed to growing up. I can't wait to hear from her. Her unique perspective as also a trained psychologist has made her to believe that proper documentation, conservation of culture, culture education are tools that we can use to serve the interest of integration as well as unifying and also healing many of not only the Nigeria, but African societal problems. And I will want to list some of those she has mentioned, such as conflicts, tribalism, nepotism, poverty, and related problems. This is loaded, I can tell you. We are going to be inspired today. How does she facilitate this problem solution education? I would say by, I'm sure I still have to ask her. She says, edutaining event. Please take note of that because I don't think it was a mistake. She would enlighten us, I'm hoping, by writing and also thought-provoking articles as well. Storytelling, debating, school plays, campaigning, and believe it or not, researching into this as well. it is a delight and a great pleasure, my dear audience, to introduce to you another beautiful and elegant looking pace-setter female in the heart space. You know, some of those I call disruptive female, because we're now in a disruptive, you know, economy. So, Precious, welcome to Be Inspired. And I want to start first because I have plenty of questions as usual when I'm with dynamic ladies like yourself. I want to start first by saying, what would you share with us that is not in your bio that we need to know about you as well? And please let that include which state you are from, because, you know, when I first met you, I thought you were somebody else, and then I got the surprise of my life. So please, also, maybe my audience are thinking something else, so let's hear the real truth. Thank you.
Okay, so basically, what have you not said about me that you need to know?
Many things.
Okay. So I'm from Plateau State, Nigeria.
Great, fantastic.
Yeah. Most of what I do today is greatly influenced by my background. That's where I'm coming from, my state, and the kind of influences, the cultural influences that I experienced here.
We're going to talk about it. Don't let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, I'm not letting that out of the bag. I'm also
all right.
I'm married. I've got 3 kids, all boys.
Wow, you don't look it at all. If you see somebody said she's really beautiful, I agree with you, Genevieve. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. Yeah. I love, you know, all this headgear is making me envious. Each week I keep saying I'm going to come with my own headgear. I'm not agreeing again. No.
Yeah, so
lovely, actually, fantastic.
Small story. Maybe the last thing I'll add is
fantastic.
I actually borrowed this from my mom. So
wow, so it has a story behind that you have to share with us. That's fantastic. Wow, fantastic. So now I want to start this conversation, you know, by asking you something that relates to the topic we have coined, you know, and let's start laying the foundation very clearly. So I want to ask you to tell us, what is culture, you know, exactly for you, and especially looking at, you know, owning our own Nigerian culture, guarding it. Why should we be bothering about talking about it, especially now? Please share your perspective with us. That word culture, what is it for you really in relation to Nigeria?
Okay, culture is you know, just simply shared value systems. Okay, so culture is also shared ways of living, shared lifestyle. Okay,
great.
So
great.
If let's say in this part of our world, it's hot, right? The weather is hot. And then we decide to always wear clothing made up of what's available to protect us from the heat. Let's say fleece from wool, from sheep. We're able to make maybe jackets. And so that now becomes the culture, because everybody is wearing that to protect themselves from the cold, right? So we have a shared way of dressing, okay?
Yeah.
Because we value warmth. So that has kind of influenced, you know, our dressing. So that's how we get a shared, you know, aspect of culture as dressing.
Right.
It could be food as well. And culture has so many other angles to it and perspectives. You have types of food. We can share language in common. We can share geographical space. We can share, I talked about clothing, customs and traditions, beliefs, sometimes religion, you know.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. That's
fantastic. Culture. Thank you so much, really.
I also like to always add this when I'm defining culture. Culture to me is it's actually what you end up doing every day.
Great.
You know, that works for you, and then you now end up influencing others.
Fantastic. Wow. Which can be which can be good or bad as well. So I guess we'll be talking about the good side of it. Fantastic. Thank you so much for laying those fundamental ideas about culture so that we don't get it wrong and all. So now, Precious, I want to go to a point that was in your bio for you to please share with us and inspire us, which is what this whole platform is about. Is that why did you see the need to rekindle the interest and reconnect the Nigerian or African youth with their cultural roots? What brought that, you know, interest? Please share with us.
Okay. so many things, you know, but maybe I won't go into like the past, you know, the very initial ones. But maybe let me give you an example of one very specific instance, a story.
Yeah.
So one time when recently, like maybe as recent as about not so recent, about 5 years back, you know,
Yeah.
this healthy eating fad was such a big deal then. Everybody's trying to eat healthy, you are what you eat and all that. And
Yeah.
I came across a kind of bread recipe. You know, they were saying everybody should stay away from bread because if you
Right.
eat bread, you're going to get fat. It's starch,
Right.
it's carbs. We should stay away from carbs.
Right.
So
Right.
I was looking for healthy alternatives to bread because my mom loves bread, my kids love bread, and I was looking for healthier alternatives. And I found
Right.
something called Ezekiel bread.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, Ezekiel bread. So how do we make that? Is it like, you know? And I researched it and I found out what you do is you sprout some grains and then you grind
Right.
them and, you know, you make some kind of dough from that and make your bread. So I was
Right.
excited. I came back and I told my mom and I was like, yeah, mommy, guess what? You can still eat bread though, but
Right.
it's a different kind of bread. This is how you're going to make it. You'll sprout your
Right.
grains, you grind it. And by the time I finished, you know, explaining the procedure to my mom, she goes,
Yeah.
we've been doing that like long ago. And I'm like,
Wow.
okay. And I said, okay, how? She said, that's pam pam. And I'm like, what's pam
Wow.
pam? And she said,
Wow.
in the village, we will fetch. And the moment she said it, a light bulb just went on in my head that I had actually even done it myself in the village, but I couldn't remember until she said
Wow.
it. Then I recalled because I was smaller. So
Right.
my grandmom used to make like the locally brewed alcohol then and sell. Like there was like a small, you know, tavern in the house in the village.
Right.
So people would
Right.
come. So whenever they would go and grind the millets that they soak
Okay.
for the alcohol, after it has
Right.
fermented a bit, then the what do you call it now? The paste from it or the doughy, pasty stuff from it, they will now
Right.
fetch. Like kids would come, fetch it, then they will take like really large banana leaves, put it inside,
Okay.
wrap it
Right.
up, and put it on direct fire.
Okay.
So that would now kind of bake it. So that was a rough, you know, a kind of rough bread recipe. But
Yeah.
the one I saw on the or on the internet was the refined one. So
Okay.
by the time I now saw that, I was like, wait a minute, why is it that these things seem to go out there and then come back to us like fresh inventions, like we never had this before? So
Absolutely.
a series of other things happened. Like whenever I travel out of the country, I realize that I learn more about Nigeria from foreign museums. I learn more about
Amazing.
Africa from, I see more
Yeah.
artifacts about
Yeah.
Nigeria. We receive more documentation about Africa and Nigeria from foreign institutions, foreign
Yeah.
museums. And so it
Yeah.
feels sad that we don't have that here for the average Nigerian to be able to have
Yeah.
access to information about themselves. I could go
Yeah.
on and on, you know, about
Yeah.
reasons why, but these are some of the few
Fantastic.
things that inspired. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Precious. And my audience, Adacha is agreeing that that's very true. I'm sure she's saying very true that we all go and find out things about home from outside. How
Yes.
sad. Even though we know that there are many factors that have, you know, created this particular situation, but we are not going to complain or lament. Here,
No.
we are going to be indeed optimistic and inspired to do more and to be providers of solutions. So
Yeah.
that said, Precious, and you've started talking about it briefly. How have you been using history, like it says in your bio,
Yes.
lifestyle, and travel to enlighten, you know, the group of people that are your niche or tribe? Please share with us.
Okay, history, lifestyle, and travel. So
Great.
history, I do a lot of like that's just direct research, like direct reading, you know.
Right.
So a lot of people don't seem to want to, you know, do much. Yeah, a lot of, and I understand we really live in a fast world. Everybody wants snapshot information at their fingertips. So what we do is we basically just research what we can about history, and then we just put out that information, little bits and pieces.
Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic. That's
Yes.
lovely. So where can my audience get some of this history and some of these, things that you do to also learn more about our culture? Any specific place?
Oh yeah, mostly on our Instagram page. We are on
Great,
LinkedIn. Instagram page is
great.
Coma Club MG. That's what I'm live on right now.
Fantastic,
And
fantastic,
yes, and our LinkedIn is also Coma Club MG. We
fantastic,
also have a
fantastic.
YouTube channel, Coma Club MG as well. Yeah, I think okay, that's Coma Club.
Right.
KOMACLU. Yeah.
Fantastic. So with that, and on those platforms, you share things to do with the lifestyle, with the history, and also
Yes.
things to do with travel.
Yes,
Fantastic,
because we
fantastic.
travel as well. We part of researching is also traveling. If you want to learn the
That's
culture of
true.
people, you have to travel and experience it. So yeah,
That's
travel is
true.
part of it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now,
Thank
let me come to another part that from your bio that talks about, which you had talked about briefly. It says you have been exposed to a number of intriguing cultures. Can you
you.
share some of the cultures that you really have been part of, please?
Okay, so I am, like I said earlier, I'm a Plateau girl, right?
Right.
And both my parents are actually Ngas by tribe,
Great.
Ngas speaking tribe.
Wow.
And
Now, Precious, sorry to cut you. Don't let us assume that all my audience know who the Ngas is, because we are learning culture here and learning history. So please, can you break that down? Who are the Ngas people also?
okay, the
Thank
Ngas
you.
speaking people are actually from Kanke local government area of Plateau State.
Great.
And you can find a lot of us also in Pangshin local government area. We're one
Fantastic.
of the majority
Fantastic.
tribes there. And the only way I
Fantastic.
can, the fastest information I can give you about Ngas people is maybe I can name two prominent people for you from Ngas community.
Wow, please.
So,
Let's hear it.
okay, so one is Ice Prince Zamani, the musician. You
Wow.
know him?
No, that doesn't ring a bell at all. I'm sure to some
Oh
of
my
my audience
goodness.
it might. That's terrible.
So do
You
you
see
know the
now?
song? Do you know the song Oleku?
Yes, you
Yes,
mean it. Fantastic.
yes.
Wow, that's
That was
fantastic to
Ice
know.
Prince. That was Ice Prince.
Wow,
And then
fantastic.
also the former president, Yakubu Gowon, General Yakubu Gowon is
Oh,
an Angas man, yes.
wow, fantastic, fantastic. So we have learned something new today again from you. Great. So you were saying you were going to share with us some of the intriguing cultures that you have been exposed to.
Yes, so I traveled to the village a lot as a kid. And
Great.
even before traveling to the village, Plateau State, I must mention, this is very important, has one of the majority number of tribes in
Great.
Nigeria. We are right
Wow.
after Adamawa State. So about
Wow.
50, 53, 54. And
Great.
so you would hear like a lot of different ethnic groups. Like
Yeah.
in Jos, look, the capital of Plateau State, you have
Right.
Birams, you have the Jarawas, you have the Miangos, you have the
Wow.
Anakutas,
Wow.
you have the
Never heard of all
Urubas.
this. Wow.
Yes, yes. So this is just within Jos, okay?
Wow.
And so you are exposed to all of that. And then when I would travel to the village, I would experience my dad's and my dad and mom's culture. Then
Amazing.
my grandfather was living in Lantang local government, which
Amazing.
is actually where the Tarok or the Yergan people are.
Wow.
So I would travel when we travel to the village, we would also experience their festivals and a lot of they would come to
Amazing.
the house and eat, even their eating, their temperaments were different and everything. The Yergams are actually popular for they have a lot of generals in the military. So
Wow.
yeah, they were very at some point, so they were very popular for that. Then my aunt was also living in a place called Wase local government, and I used to go to do holidays also at her place. There I would experience the cultures of the Jukuns, the
Amazing.
Fulanis, and the Hausas a little
Amazing.
there in Wase local government.
Amazing.
So I got to see
Amazing.
them do their Shetli. shed the, the flogging, across your chest and all that. So yes, those were
to
the
show that they are strong men and be capable of taking care of the women.
Yes. So pain would serve, pain was used as a statement of strength and power, your ability to endure pain.
Amazing.
And so, yes. So
wow, beautiful.
I experienced a lot of culture growing up. Those were the kind of influences that, intrigued me a lot and inspired what I do.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Wow. My dear, I don't know about you, because this is just one person that is telling us the amount of culture she has just experienced within her space. Let us all imagine if all of us are experiencing that across the 36 states of this country. We have not started this conversation yet. It means that there's so much for everybody to share, really.
Yes.
Exactly. And I think Precious is still going to be taking us through a number of things for us to appreciate the work she's doing and why she might be promoting that as well. So, Precious, that brings me to asking you, you are a psychologist, a trained one as such, and your bio talks about the fact that, that has also influenced. Can you share with us? How has that brought a different perspective to the culture and you also doing what you do?
Yes. So growing up, I decided to study psychology. So I became increasingly, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
Are you there? Okay, I lost you a moment. Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, fantastic. Sorry. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm listening.
About psychology. So I got increasingly more curious about why people behave the way they do, why they think the way they do, and why they act the way they do. And so I would notice that by the time I now picked interest in culture, another thing that also influenced me was the museum in my state, and yes, it's a federal museum and a zoo, which I frequented a whole lot. I also please, can I take a moment? I need a glass of water.
Yes. Oh, sorry, please do that. So, my dear audience, at this point, while my guest is taking that short drink break, I will say thank you so much for joining us far in this conversation. No, not at all. We are having a conversation. We are family here, and anything can happen. So we are very, very happy, to be here. Believe it or not, just now the power just went off on my side, but thank God that we sort of are prepared, backup plan.
Yes.
So here we are. All right.
Good.
So listen, it makes us develop all sorts of capacities and abilities that we will not change it for any other place, really.
Plan B.
So great. Plan B, that's it. We always have plan B. So please go ahead. So you were saying.
Yes. So I was talking about my influences, right? Psychology.
Yes, with your psychology, yes.
Yes. So I read a lot of books from the library. We have a state library. And growing up as a child, I was always curious. The first library I was exposed to was my parents' library. My dad is a medical doctor. My mom is a linguist. So I would open books and I would see, a lot of stuff. But one of the books that really, really got to me, I still remember this book that made me decide I'm going to read psychology, is a book called Mechanics of the Mind.
Wow, that sounds really high-leveled, mechanisms, I must say.
But I don't think it was, in retrospect now, it wasn't such a very, as a child, I was even able to read a story inside it that, made me even more interested in psychology, and that was what made me very strongly decided. I think at maybe the age of 5, 6, I had made that decision I was going to read psychology. So even when I was the childish thing of going back and forth, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be all those ambitions, I want to
that we normally have.
You want to save the world, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would still come back to I want to do psychology because of that book. It had a very interesting cover. So how has psychology, come to marry with my interest in culture? It's that psychology is the study of human behavior, right? And
Absolutely.
culture is the expression of that behavior in group.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. So it just marries. It just marries very
Great.
well. And you know, psychology is a sister discipline of sociology. And you know, so
Absolutely.
culture, those
Yeah.
are just the areas there.
Fantastic. Wow. Wow. That is
Thank you.
mind-blowing and very, very interesting to hear, really. So
Yes.
now that brings me to other parts, because I tell you, my dear audience, the bio of Precious is brief and concise, but for me, it's loaded, you know, with things that she would definitely, I want her to share. And another thing that piqued my curiosity from that bio were 3 areas that you mentioned that for you, you saw it as important for
Yeah.
proper documentation. And when I was reading that, a particular person called Pelu Awofeso came to my mind. You might know him. He's somebody that I don't think he can overemphasize the importance of documentation. He goes
Yes.
around documenting all sorts of things to do with history. I had to
Yes.
tag him when I was posting your bio, really, because that is definitely something that he is very interested in. So please share with us, what is the importance of this proper documentation that you're talking about? Help us to appreciate it better.
Wow. Okay. So I don't even know where to start from because that's like
Please
major.
start from anywhere in the beginning. We're all yours.
Okay. So it's very important to document culture. It's, where do I start from? Like, okay, let me just go ahead. First of all, if you don't have a sense of identity,
Great.
you're kind of, it does something to the mind. The person is just afloat, sort of. You don't have a baseline. Nothing holds you down, right? So
Right.
that's what we see. You suffer something called an identity crisis. And we see that that is part of what is happening, especially in the West with Black Americans, which is what, no matter how successful you are as a Black American, they really want some kind of, there's a kind of validation that this is who I am. Because when you know who you are, you know what to do, you know what is expected of you, know where you're coming from, you know where you're going
I
to,
like
and you can
that.
actually measure, you can measure your place in time and in space.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It
Yeah.
sounds abstract. I'm trying to make it as practical as possible.
No, I think you're making sense, definitely,
Okay.
because imagine if you're just like somebody that gets out of the house and you have no destination. You are just going to be, you know, roaming
So
around the whole place.
You can see us moving in a cycle, or we have repeated struggles as a people. Nigeria is how old today?
60.
Okay, so we had an experience, you know, a sad experience last October, which as a result of the NSAS protest, right? 20th October, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, it was 20th October, right?
Okay, I think so. Yes.
I hope I'm not mixing up.
Are you talking about, is it, okay, no, I'm not sure of the date. Is it?
Protest?
I'm not sure of that date. Now you're saying maybe the audience will help us, and I can be sure somebody will.
Someone help me out.
Will,
But
say,
then
will tell us.
Let's move on. The point I'm trying to make is when the killings at the NSAS protest happened,
right?
What? Okay, yes. This all is saying yes, it was right. So
fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So what hurts about this is we see a repetition of something that has already happened in the past. About women's riots, we see a lot of these kind of conflicts repeating themselves, but because nobody understands history, or a lot of people don't understand history, we keep repeating the same mistakes, or even getting worse, because there is no such thing as, you know, stagnancy. You understand?
Right.
You're either moving forward or you're moving backward in time and space. So yes, we don't document, and so we keep reliving. The same person will come, you know, in government, do something, come back in the next regime, and just do the same thing, and it's a cycle. But all they do is change the packaging of the product, but the content is still the same. But because there's no history, people are not educated, there is no documentation for people to be able to say, okay, you know what, let's check this. You know, even these conflicts we're having today, where they say, okay, farmer herder conflicts and stuff. All you have to do is
Right.
go back into the books, if there are any records, and find out
Right.
who are the people who actually have been the first settlers here, and what were their customs and traditions. Okay, when we are going to
Right.
do anything, we have to factor their interests first before we begin. You know,
Fantastic.
so these are the very, you see, a lot of the problems we have today in society is because there's no documentation, there's nothing to go back and look at. You know, there is
As a
no
reference point.
a reference point, exactly. So you
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
documentation and history also serves as a reference point
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
future
And decisions. I love that, because you definitely need facts in order to make a lot of decisions, for those decisions to be valid as well. And I don't know, maybe I would love to add to that sometimes also, or even presently, I don't know what you think, because many of the educational curriculum, history has been removed from that. So in terms of even educating from the what do you call it, basic education, it's gone.
Yes. Yes.
So imagine whatever generation that had the last training in history, and
Yes.
we are in what we are. Imagine a whole group of people that are not even being taught any history now. So they are not going to know anything, that's for sure. So that's sad.
In fact, I'm going to let me blow your mind a little bit. It is
Right.
sad that already pre-colonial history of Nigeria is not really documented in Nigeria like that.
Yeah.
Because most of our tradition was already handed down orally, not, and we all know, you know, the analogy of oral transmission of information, right? Where if
That's
we
true.
are 5 people in a queue and I whisper something in your ears, and you whisper
By the time the fifth person here is something else we are going to be hearing. I am with you. It's called Chinese whispers.
Yes, Chinese whispers. So yes,
I get you.
Our documentation was already like that. And it's sad because we lost such valuable information, because embedded in our history are almost everything we need to know about living within our unique terrain, with our unique kind of, you know, traditions and beliefs and our values.
Absolutely. That's true.
You know, sadly, we are losing that all the time. And so you see this very huge, like, confused society. It's really because there's no documentation. So
this is a really valid point, and, you know, something crucial that you have really hammered on here. And we really have to hope that with what you are doing and what others that would come, you know, after and still working with you and inspired by today would try to do more, because we definitely owe it to the generations to come. We cannot allow this to divide us and create any conflicts between us, because knowing the history, knowing where people are come from, because I'm sure you agree with me that when you don't know, it also makes you judgmental about people. Because you don't know where they're coming from, why they're reacting that way, what's going on.
Yes.
So this is definitely important. Precious, thank you for enlightening us on that. We definitely need to have proper documentation, my dear audience. Now, I want to go further and ask, I've seen a bit of a glitch there. I hope it's not due to my own connection, but there's a bit of a glitch on Precious' side. I hope she will hear me, what I'm about to ask her, but let me just see that she's still there with us and can hear. Precious, are you there? Can you hear me? There's a bit of a glitch, my dear audience. Please let me know. Are you still here? Okay, Precious, are you hearing me, ma'am? There was a bit of a glitch.
Yes,
okay, so I wanted to, I wanted to go on to the next thing I wanted to ask you that was in your bio, talking about the fact that conversation of culture. I love that sound and tone. What do you mean? Please share with us and break it down piecemeal. What do you mean by us having conversation of culture? Because, you know, to have a conversation sometimes can be difficult. You know, people are always arguing and fighting. Please share with us.
Conversations about culture, for me, they are very interesting conversations.
Absolutely. We are just having one now. So, my dear audience, please bear with us. There's always a bit of a technical glitch. You know, network is not fantastic. Providers are not, but we are work in progress. We will get there. So, bear with us. Please let me know if you can hear me, because I'm not sure if the glitch even is the source is from my own side, not necessarily Precious' side. Things can occur sometimes. Precious, sorry. I think there was a bit of a glitch there as well. I lost you.
Yes.
So please share with us. the conversation of culture?
Yeah, so conversation of culture for me is just basically being
Like
able
I
to
said,
talk about,
we're having one here that is fantastic.
yes. So thank you. So these are just the conversations, right? Like what are we doing as a people? Why are we doing the things we do? What benefits do they serve us? Was it
Right.
relevant back then? Is it relevant today? And will it be relevant tomorrow? Those are the kind of
Fantastic.
conversations, okay?
Fantastic.
It could be simple. Let's take an element of culture, for instance. Let's take maybe one element of the non-material aspect of culture. So let me take maybe something like a tradition like female circumcision, right?
Okay.
We know that in some cultures, even though it has really been it has been worked, like a lot of it has been reduced, but some people still believe in it and they still practice it. So something like a tradition of female circumcision now, we have to start to having those conversations. If we had those conversations regularly where we ask, why was that culture proliferated in the first place? What was the rationale behind that culture and that tradition, right? And then is it relevant today? Maybe back then relevant, right?
I like that.
It was a way, out of ignorance, it was relevant because they felt it was a way to curb promiscuity, okay? Today, is it relevant?
Fantastic.
Tomorrow, will it be relevant? Should we keep practicing
exactly.
So these are the questions that help us to be able to abolish things that no longer serve us. And that's the only way to advance as, you know, humanity or as Africans.
And as a people, I love that.
Yes.
Fantastic. Wow, Precious. That is really fantastic piecemeal explanation. I tell you, and like you said, is with a conversation about this and cultural, you know, from a cultural perspective, and the way you are broken on would help us to better understand, should we go on? Is it trendy? Is it something we need to chalk out? And I think you really hit on something important, so that I would love to say, you know, for the benefit of all of us having this conversation and listening to each other, and that's why we can't say we are going to throw out whatever a particular generation has been doing. We have to look at it and say, what is relevant there? Yeah. What is good there, so that we don't throw it away and we are now attracted to.
Is there a value? Is there a different way? If, okay, they were trying to promote fidelity, for instance, and kind of, you know, curb and morality. Is there a different way to do it today? Can we develop a more currently and more sane, more humane, you understand, method of being able to practice it today? So
fantastic. Fantastic. I love that. So I think that's one of the things that we are going to say we have to take on from this conversation. All of us have to start having cultural conversation to appreciate the different aspects of our culture that can help us to enrich the lifestyle that we live. And then whichever one is not relevant, we can also still see how we can also make it, you know, and chalk it out if needs be. I love that. The third part also in that list that you had mentioned in your bio was the fact of culture education. I like that. Maybe because I'm an educator as well. I wear many caps, really. Please, do we need to go to a culture school to get another culture education? Please share with us.
No, culture education is just basically being able to encourage what I call appreciation and tolerance.
Fantastic.
And that is by being able to explain, you know, teach people, gather experiences of what people do, like the practices that people do in certain cultures. For instance, let me give you an example.
Please go ahead.
In the far north, right? In the desert, right? Men bend down to urinate. Okay? And when you come back, you know, to maybe if you go down south, men will stand and urinate. Now, instead of a man from there and a man from the other end, you know, maybe you see the other person practicing and you're like, what kind of irritating thing is that? Why should a man do that? It shouldn't be women that bend down to urinate.
Bend down.
That one, you say, why should a man stand? The reason if you get to understand the rationale behind why through culture education, which is finding out
I love that.
whys behind, you will come to
Absolutely.
appreciate and tolerate, which
I love
actually
that.
reduces conflict.
I love
Okay?
that. Fantastic.
So,
Awesome.
Up north, the people up north or towards the desert that actually urinate, bending down, do it because if they stand,
Of the sand.
the sun and the desert wind is going to make your urine splash. Sorry, maybe this is TMI.
Absolutely. No, we're getting,
your body and your clothes.
Definitely. This is lovely, lovely example. I saw that coming and I knew that's what you're going to say. That's fantastic.
Yes.
You have just hit the nail on the head, really. And that's what we're saying, so that we don't become judgmental. Because when you don't know, somebody is laughing there. Yes, my dear audience, it sounds very, very funny, but these are little things that can create big problems, really.
Yes.
And I love talking about little things. I'm having an online course soon, hopefully launching about little things, because little things count, really. And this is very little that you have just described to us, but it can create a big problem, really. So that's fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So that's cultural education, my dear audience, really. Now, let me come to other things that are loaded in your bio, like I keep saying, Precious. And I want you to please share with us, for us to understand, how can culture become a solution to tribalism, nepotism, conflict, poverty, and related problem? I think that was just an awesome pack of things that we're dealing with now that I would love you to share. And for me, it's like, you are talking about a game changer here, a possibility here, a potential here, and it's all loaded inside culture. Share with us, please.
Okay, so I hope I remember all. Okay.
We'll take it step by step. Tribalism. Let me give you tribalism first. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take tribalism first, okay?
Okay.
So tribalism is just like what I said earlier, okay? Appreciation, tolerance, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tribalism can be lost if you understand that most of the time, I always say it, even though we are different, okay?
Absolutely.
By culture, by traditions and stuff, most of the times we are actually just one humanity seeking the same things.
From the same source, Adam and Eve.
Yes, from the same source. So basically, we still wake up and do the same things. We wake up, we eat food, even if it's different types of food, we still eat. We go to bed at night. We have we know the experience of love, sadness, happiness, pleasure. We love our children. It's
absolutely
across board. Okay, we all just want to be happy, want to be successful. So
absolutely.
So once we understand these things, it helps with tolerance. It takes away tribalism. It takes away nepotism. And sometimes you find out some very interesting practices from other cultures and traditions that make you go like, oh, these people are actually cool, you know? So, for instance, what have you heard about Fulani people? All we hear about is the herdsman, you know, and the cattle rustling and the banditry and all that. But Fulani people are so much more than that, okay? Fulani people
Thank God for that. Thank God you are saying that. Lovely, lovely.
Yes. So, yes, we may be having those kind of problems, but it's just like I say, good people and bad people exist in every community. Yes. So that goes tribalism. That also goes nepotism, right? Appreciation and tolerance. How about poverty? When I think about poverty, what I always see that culture can do is, in terms of a very direct, you know, it has a direct function or the direct quality of being able to be a commodity. Culture is a commodity. You can sell your culture, okay?
That's true.
So why is it that tourism, for instance, is very, very, it's such a big industry and a game changer for certain countries? If you look at it, let me just even bring it down to Africa.
Okay, yeah.
Look at the countries. I think the 3 highest ones are Egypt, I think Morocco, and I think South Africa. Now, if you notice 3 key things about these places that I mentioned, they have very solid historical and
Yes.
cultural value systems. You see that
Yeah.
they cherish those things, and it is directly affecting the amount of revenue they generate in direct tourism. So
Yeah.
let's think of it this way, that down the value chain, okay, in terms of
Right.
tourism, hospitality, if I
Right.
am traveling into a country right now, like one of those countries, and I'm going
Right.
as a tourist, I'm definitely
Yeah.
going to be seeking a visa, right? Which will probably
Yes.
attract a visa fee.
Yeah.
And that goes to the government, okay?
Yeah.
I'm also
Yeah.
going to take a flight, which
Yes.
for every passenger, for every plane landing at their airport, the government
Yeah.
makes something.
Yeah.
And every other service and product I use,
Yeah.
I consume, the value
Yeah.
system or service I enjoy,
Yeah.
there is money going into somebody's hand in that community, okay? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
if you go to Egypt, for instance, you're going to see what it was like, the ancient
Pyramids.
pyramids, you know.
Yes.
You're going to go
Yeah.
and see all the whole you know, the or maybe
Egyptian
just the
mummies.
Egyptian mummies, the
Yeah.
hieroglyphs in their
Yeah.
writings, you know, all
Yeah.
those things, the elements of their culture. When you
Right.
go to a place like South Africa, you're going to be
Yeah.
checking out, you know, maybe the Zulus, the history
Yeah.
that has to do with
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela. There was a strong
Absolutely.
apartheid situation there,
Yeah.
which is now
Yeah.
history. Those are
Yeah.
part of their culture. That is part of
Yeah.
their history, which today they've been able to
Absolutely.
monetize. Okay, and even
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
physical geographical assets they have.
Success.
That is
Yeah.
one. In Morocco,
Yeah.
if you go there, you're going to Timbuktu. You're going to go and
Yeah.
see, you're probably going to Timbuktu. It was an ancient educational, it
Teaching
was known
Memphis.
for
Yeah.
their high values on education and,
Yeah.
and knowledge. You know, so you have
Yeah.
ancient like universities and everything of libraries of Timbuktu. So those are probably the things that will
Absolutely.
take you to Morocco. And they've been able to
Yeah.
find a way to monetize
Yeah.
these things. If you go to
Things. Yeah.
Turkey, you know, I could go on and on.
And
These
on.
people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
monetizing their culture, and
Yeah.
that way they are actually, you know, being able to infuse some money into the economy and advance the
Absolutely.
cause of their people and eradicate
Fantastic.
poverty as well.
Wow, fantastic. I think, Precious, you have just explained it so well. And it just, for me to say, in summary, my dear audience, if we do not have the elements of culture, nobody's going to come here. Because what are they coming for? Nothing.
Yes.
So we need those things to be able to attract those that need to come in order to monetize it and generate wealth and jobs for our own citizens. So fantastic, Precious. I think you have said it so well. Now, coming to other things that you use as your tool for doing what you do. Can you please educate us? What do you mean by edutaining events? What does it, because it sounds so touche and catchy, really, so please share with us.
Okay, so yeah, I've actually really missed our events. Since COVID, we haven't really had events, and kind of took a break, a little break, but we are working on coming back with an event. So the last one we had, for instance, we've had events at schools. We do like little plays, dramas at schools to talk about Nigeria's independence, you know, culture, the importance of tradition, importance of maybe people just promote like a certain cultural element, and just to create pride and a sense of like identity, you know, in culture. We've also organized small debates. We've also organized you know, like small park events. Like we've had art culture before. We've had one that exposed children to like funny traditions and crazy traditions from around the world. We've done another one, which was the last one we did, which was Move Afrique. And Move Afrique was about dance. That was the one I really enjoyed directly.
Wow. You know, Africans are about dance and movement. We love our dance and music.
Because we actually learned quite a lot, because we're able to see how most of the dance steps we have today have evolved over time, even from the past. So you see, like maybe maybe Zanku or some of those things, and you see that they're actually from some kind a derivative of one of the ancient dances, and we saw the significances of the dances, their origins, and how they just spread and kind of changed over time.
I hope, Precious, I hope these activities are on a YouTube as history for us to see. We need those things on a YouTube channel.
We haven't put our Move Afrique on the other activities on our YouTube channel, but our YouTube channel has been on of recent, where we mostly discuss about contemporary. We also put up most of these activities now there, especially our travels. Our travels are there.
Fantastic.
But now we have more of the discussions about modern contemporary takes on cultural topics. So like I think our last topic was about like mother-in-laws, because this month we do themed months. This month has been family month. So we talk about like African parenting, things like flogging your children, you know, and all those things. Yes, and then we're not talking about the in-laws and the daughter-in-laws, you know, we did
it's necessary because the mother-in-laws are suffering. Yeah, and the daughters are getting influenced by the wrong stories, really. So please, we need that. We need that. Fantastic. So I guess we can get involved and engage in all this thing on your platform as well, on Instagram as well. Fantastic. I love that. So I think that takes us, even though you have said a bit of that, I guess just for you to add to that, your storytelling, the articles, the research, where can we get, information about that? And how does that also tie into what you are doing?
Okay. So, storytelling, it's part of the activities that we're trying to start. Like, we've already started some of them on a small scale, but we want to really work on, like, doing it grand.
Fantastic.
Yes. Because through storytelling, you're able to actually teach and instruct children without it's very easy to get value across to them. You're also able to get them to understand things faster. They grasp things faster. You're an educator, you understand. And through storytelling, you eliminate a lot of the conflicts that goes on in what we call, the African parenting with flogging and all that. Because when you tell them stories, about Anansi, the spider, the tortoise, the wise tortoise, the elephants, the great.
You're teaching them values,
the lion,
and the wise of things. Yeah,
exactly. True storytelling. And then what was the other thing? The articles. You can find that on our website, www.comaclub.com. So there you can also find, our articles, which we've written.
Fantastic. Wow. Yes. Now, the other last one I saw in that list was the fact of cultural campaign. And I said, please, where have you been doing this campaign? Because we want to join this campaign, this cultural campaign.
Okay, so mostly our cultural campaigns are when we go to schools, like within our direct. For now, we've mostly restricted our activities are mostly restricted within, apart from our travels, are mostly restricted within Abuja. So we do a lot of the universities, we do secondary schools, and basically what we just do is to tell them to come on board, sign up, with us, and then whenever we are having events, we kind of invite them to join them.
And carry them around. Fantastic. Yes, I love that.
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, lastly, the area of research. What have you discovered through research? And are there some results you can share with us, please? Linked to culture.
Interesting.
Great.
So there was a research that we conducted, and I'm very sad about this research. It was our first.
Oh, don't be sad.
Yes, I have a little sad news about this research, which we did because the person who was supposed to actually process our documents ended up passing away, sadly, with our papers with him. But what I really loved about the research was we were able to go through it, and we made some kind of extractions from what we got. And one of the
discoveries there.
Yes, one of the interesting findings we made, for instance, was there was one of the scales of measurement we were doing where we were asked secondary school and university students, but especially secondary school, I'd like to pay attention to that because most of them responded very well on those questions. Have you heard any stereotype about your culture that has been like, you know, over time, it's been consistent, a consistent stereotype that you've heard about your people, your tribe. And, you know, it's amazing how this thing was consistent across the 3 major tribes. Hausa people, Hausa Fulani kept saying, the kids, imagine these are children in secondary school, and the Hausa children would always say, they say we are bandits, we are kidnappers. Or we are violent people, or get this, that that we are there is no middle point for the Hausa man. You are either rich, very rich, or very poor, or you are very illiterate or educated. Then you would see something across the Yoruba. It would, you know, the Yoruba kids, there would be a consistent answer that they say we are loud, we like partying too much, or we are loquacious, we talk too much, or we are dirty, you know. It was consistent.
So we have established a stereotype somehow.
We have established stereotypes, and that it is actually even affecting children coming from that background, and that we are perpetuating it even amongst the next generation.
Wow, this is really sad. As Desola is saying here, that is sad. That's sad. And I think even though we are not going to be able to have that conversation in terms of possible solution, but Precious, just briefly from your own research now and having got that or discovered that, what will you say might be a solution to curb that out and make sure it doesn't escalate to become something big, like we are saying, which looks like something little now that generation is experiencing?
Okay. So I already mentioned it earlier, right? But like what we are doing at Coma Club is basically the education, okay?
I love that.
Education. First of all, we tech history. We do social studies, which helps, but I like social studies doesn't really quite capture the beauty.
I love that. That's it. Yes.
So it doesn't quite capture it. And we need to have real events, real activities, real festivals that celebrate culture, that celebrate diversity.
I love that.
I always believe that, you know, there is a strong association between culture and poverty. There's a strong association.
That's really interesting.
Between culture and negativity. So it's very difficult to campaign for culture. You have to do a whole lot.
Right.
You know,
that's true.
So but if you can actually think like what we do, fun events, you do a lot of storytelling,
conversations as well, like you said.
Conversations, like what we do with our YouTube channel, like that.
Fantastic.
People's interest. Yes.
Fantastic. And then we would begin to change mindset of those that are even saying it and those that are on the receiving end to not feel that way. I love that. So I think we all have a collective responsibility wherever we find ourselves, whoever we're interacting with and engaging, to have that open mind, to want to learn about the culture of other people and not being judgmental, like we're saying, asking questions, be fact-finding, and also want to see how you can help to promote other people's culture besides yours as well, because we are one Nigeria, one nation, working together to ensure that we're all united in whatever it is we believe in. I love that. Precious, thank you so much. Now, Precious, I've been asking you a lot of things about your bio because that sort of tallies with the topic today, because we wanted to look at culture, and that's fantastic. You've really inspired us a lot with what you have said. Now I want to come into other questions briefly before we wrap up that have to do with this platform, which is also geared towards inspiring young females within our sector, hospitality, aviation, and tourism. So I want to ask you, from your own area of professional competency and what you have been doing, what would you say, young females can benefit from this career path, and how can they go about it? Where do they fit in? Yes.
Okay. First of all, when you talk about culture and females, in Africa especially, it's been kind of, there is this stereotype or this false idea that females in Africa are actually
Wow, that's true. You have a point there.
Yes, we are always like, it's like females come second, and it's been promoted that, like, it's been promoted, or so as to say, especially in the international community, that women are actually not celebrated, women are underserved. I get it, true, in certain
Right.
circles. On the show,
Okay.
you see, like I told you, a lot of documentation
Is
when
missing.
it comes to, is missing. There are missing
Right.
things, a whole lot of it. For instance,
Right.
when you talk about women's rights, what are you talking about?
Right.
Women who refuse to pay taxes that were being heavily levied, and they stood up and they said, no, we won't have it anymore. What does that
Right.
say about feminism and women empowerment? Isn't it? But
Right.
we women didn't do that. Okay?
No.
We
No.
women had to do that. But
No.
you see, these are the kind of stereotypes that you have going around. So what
We need.
I'm just talking about the direct,
Yes.
cultural
things. Yeah.
yes, cultural things about women now.
Yes.
However, when it comes to career paths, there are so many things that people can do in culture. I think when it comes to arts and crafts,
Great.
being able to create any kind of cultural, artifacts or something.
Facts. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
That helps us to conserve culture. Because when you look at cultural artifacts, you are reminded of, symbols, their meaning.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're able to kind of preserve and conserve something. Yes, women can go into that. Paintings, reading, any of those things that were part of our culture.
I love it. I love
That is one thing. Another thing is just like what you do, hospitality and tourism.
Food, culinary, yes,
Food
of course.
is one way.
Yeah.
Clothing is another.
Absolutely. The fashion that we have.
Yes, on the fashion scene, you can do a lot of clothing brands these days are doing that. You see them focused a lot on Afrocentric clothing, which is very beautiful. The Adire prints,
absolutely.
That's one. I know people will say, "Oh, there's a lot of those," but I still feel like there's a huge gap there. There's still
absolutely.
Yeah, but we are doing quite well. We can do
fantastic.
We can go into. There's a whole lot that we could be doing.
I love it, and I think I want to add that from the perspective you have said, you have rightly told that it's not weak women that were within that, but so I guess we need to see more women involved in cultural things, involved in areas of the career path that helps us to bring out more women to say they are capable. And I'm sure they're doing a lot behind the scene, but perhaps then we need more women like yourself, Precious, promoting culture, promoting this diversity, and educating the public and the citizens about what we all have and we need to share among ourselves. So I love that, Precious. Thank you so much. And my dear audience, like I said, Precious has started with psychology. And I always say it anywhere that anybody, we have a very, very, very low entry point into hospitality, aviation, and tourism. Anybody can enter. So whatever it is you have studied, whatever it is your passion is about, you can bring it on board and promote what Precious is sharing with us today. Fantastic. So Precious, having said so, anybody that sees you now with this elegant, pretty face, just say, oh, she has it all rosy, really. But I'm sure there are things that make your career path exciting. So please share with us first, what is most exciting about you, what you do, and what should be some of the challenges that females should expect to encounter if they are going to promote culture like you're doing. Please share with us.
Wow. Okay. So what is the most exciting? No, I would like to start with the challenges first.
Okay. No problem. So that we have soft landing after.
So that there'll be a silver lining at the end.
Absolutely. Yes.
So challenges for me are that, when it comes to funding of cultural activities,
right,
it's really hard to get funding for it. So far so good. We've been generating our funds like internally for our events, for our activities. You see how much we've been able to do on our own, traveling, a YouTube channel, researching. We do a lot, and it's mostly being internally funded for now. So that is one of the challenges I would speak about. Another thing is government priorities in our
I like that.
country. Yes,
I
as
like
you
that.
can see, it's anything that does not. We are, sadly, we are a country of. I don't want to use this excuse per se because I don't think it's too valid.
No.
But it's still an excuse anyway. So we could say our country is, like they say, a third world country because we are still dealing with issues that have to do with basic security. We are still dealing with issues that have to do with poverty, extreme poverty, people living below the poverty baseline.
Yeah, line. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have problems of basic healthcare, basic social amenities.
Absolutely.
So by the time you come, people are just barely trying to make a living. So by the time you begin to say things like, I'm trying to promote culture, it's like, who culture help?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the last thing on their mind.
That's the last thing on their minds, but
That's
the
true.
thing is, they can't see the opportunities at the moment. However, it's really a worthy cause, and I'm really glad when
fantastic.
Yes, now that is shifting to the advantages. Now the exciting high point for me is at our events, I get a lot of positive feedbacks. People read, we get a lot of positive feedback. People are like, oh, I never really knew about this until I actually saw this,
fantastic.
Or this is actually so relatable. Like, this is true. Why are we not even talking about this? So being able to see people to start up those conversations. I've met with people. Culture excites me. I've met a lot of people. I've met you because of my conversations about culture. I have personally met about 3 royals, like royal fathers, first class chiefs, because of what I do with culture. I have met a lot of renowned personalities because of culture. And
I love it.
I actually am privileged to even be put up on a kind of a tourism board for one community because of my work that I do with culture. So
culture. Wow. Precious. Fantastic. That sounds lovely. I said the future is female, and I say it every time in my program because with all due respect to all the men, the future is female included, and with all the men, we're going to be complementing this effort because there's so much that a woman can do. And I think many things have been written that said, train a woman, give her opportunity, and see how she changes the whole world and changes things really. So I'm really excited what can come from that. Now, Precious, thinking about Nigeria, because you've been working a lot in here at home. What do you think now, as I keep saying, as we wrap up this conversation, what do you think is pending related to culture that we still need to do a lot of advocacy and in order to contribute to what you are also doing and to have that collective responsibility?
Okay, I feel that Nigerians should please, what's pending is that really, like I said, I hammered on that issue by saying first that I get it. It's a difficult country, okay? We are living in what is known as a third world country. So it's really hard, for people to take the time and live in the moment of now. Culture might seem like such an abstract, okay? But it's really not. Like I said, if you're able to look at culture as the things you do every single day, as the decisions you're taking daily, and
I love that.
And you're looking at the way that we do the things we do and how the direct consequences of these things, you will come to appreciate culture, and you will begin to have these conversations with other people. So I think people need to begin to practice mindfulness about culture. We need to ask questions about the way we do the things we do and why we do the things that we do. So,
I love that. I love it. I think you have just summarized it. Now, Precious, we're saying let's promote our culture. Let's do more advocacy and all that. My guest last week was talking about the fact that we need to learn Chinese. What's your take? Do you think that we need to add the learning of Chinese to this cultural education? What do you think?
You see, we've been colonized by the West, right? And yes, and by all means, learn English. Me and you are communicating in English today, right? It has been a kind of universal. However, we learn Chinese. I see it.
Right.
I wish I was a polyglot. I would love to learn. I wish I were a polyglot. I would learn all languages. I would learn Mandarin if I could. But this is what I think every day. The more we learn other languages, it might give us, you know, I've told you that most of our cultural decisions, the decisions we make pertaining to culture in Nigeria are mostly made to kind of give us an advantage in life so that we can escape the poverty of our country. Okay? So I would write IELTS, I would write TOEFL, I would learn Chinese and Mandarin, I would learn Spanish, because I want to give myself an advantage of work on the global scene.
I like that.
Okay?
Right.
However,
as professionally,
However, in Nigeria, why I am paying so much attention trying to escape the poverty of Nigeria, Nigerian cultures are dying out. So at this point, when we look at how culture is highly valuable, I feel like Pidgin English should be allowed to be, you know, a part of our official language. Personally, that's my take. The reason is because Nigeria is multilingual. Like, it's going to be difficult to be able to say this language, that language, or this language. But Pidgin English is a bit of what we've first come to know as our official language, which is English, which is generally known, and a little bit of every other, you know, original ethnic language.
That sort of like binds everybody together somehow.
It brings everybody together, but it gives us something to call our own originally. Okay? Then we can also begin to introduce, like I see some schools do, one of the 3 major languages, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. Yes.
Fantastic. So, wow. I love the way you have put it. So it's not as if we are saying, ignore every other person. Take it into consideration, learn it if possible, if it's going to enhance how you're going to come and impact or influence or get engaged in other parts of the globe. And I think that's wonderful. But let's not throw our own out of the window or throw it aside or ignore it and not see it as relevant, because that is why the globe would also want to come to us, because they want to learn us and what we stand for as well. I love that so much. Now, coming to you again, Precious, can you share with us, how has your career influenced the person we are seeing before us today? In what way has it impacted on you?
Directly
as a female? Yes, directly as a female. Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, we're talking about abstract things now, right? Like my mind.
Tell us from any, tell us from any, from any perspective. Yes.
Okay. How has it influenced me? First of all, I am a Christian, so I give my children Hebrew Bible names, right? But I still give my children ethnic names. So that is one little influence, right? Good. I've also been learning my husband's language, even though my husband cannot really speak it. So I'm learning
it.
Sometimes I say things that amaze him, but when you're desperate like that,
I love it.
The third thing, it has given me so much concern, because I am in the city and I live in a city, and my children, their father can't really speak his language. They grow up in the village and grow up in another part of the country, and they can't actually speak.
Amazing.
So, but I am now trying to teach them. So that's
fantastic.
To that. Another thing, I think it has made me very studious as a person.
Fantastic.
I am permanently researching information. I am very curious.
Fantastic.
I used to be curious always, but the more I put my head into this work, I am more curious.
Fantastic.
And okay, that's a kind of sound I'm getting.
Oh, okay. Is it clearer now?
Yeah, it's clearer now. Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay.
So, yes. So those fantastic. Are the kind of ways that
that it has influenced and impacted on you.
Yes.
Wow.
And then,
wonderful.
Sit down with me.
I love it. Just give me a glass of juice and then I can sit with you for any amount of hours. I love conversation. Fantastic.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
lovely. So, having said so, Precious, I would like to ask you, and I always love asking this question to all my guests here, you know, a quote that comes from Oprah, and you have talked about when you say living in the moment. That I heard from her as well, and I love that quote. The one that she says, you know, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. So can you share with us, who are those that make up your own 10,000 that have made you to stand the way you are today as a female? Share with us.
Okay, community now. That's what we're talking about, right?
I love it. You have put it in another way, community.
Yes. Whenever you are doing anything you're passionate about, especially in my own situation, you know, being a culture advocate, like I told, funding very difficult.
Right.
You know, the first thing you want to do, because if you have some kind of immediate financial remuneration, you know,
right,
it's not going to be difficult to move. So that would be very good to me. However, I must admit that, you know, even with the difficulty, there is still a very great, I see.
Fantastic.
What has kept me going, my 10,000 and my family.
Great.
Direct family, my husband, my kids. I have a strong and my family, that's my siblings.
Fantastic.
And I have
Fantastic.
a very good that encourage
Fantastic.
I've had, just like anybody starting anything worthwhile, I've had my
Great.
I've had moments I'm like, I've had
right. Right. Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Actually joined in on this live.
Wow, and I think they're the ones. Yes. And I think that's why a lot of them are saying this is great discussion. Thank you so much for your comment. Fantastic. Oh, Precious, thank you so much for that. So, what do you want my audience to take home away from here today? Before I ask, like I keep saying, the almost last question, because everything gets more interesting. What would you want them to take away from our conversation today? One or two things, please share with us.
I just want people to be more mindful, be more tolerant, and also learn to appreciate. That's all.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now for the fantastic, great. Now for the young female millennials that might be listening to this later and those that might be here, what would you want to say to them based on what you have been involved with in this sector and with what you do? What would you like to encourage them about?
Okay, I would love to encourage young females to not be afraid. It's just the advice that anybody who is going to start anything worth doing. The same thing I will tell you. Whenever you want to start something, the first 3 months you need to fight actually down is always lurking in one corner of your mind. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because it's trouble for anybody doing anything worthwhile. You deal with uncertainty every time, every day. Don't hinge. All you have to do is to keep perfecting your processes and keep learning from your mistakes and handling them. Try to be more consistent and you'll be fine.
Wow. Precious, thank you so much for that. And the last but not the least, I'm going to ask you, where should we expect to see you? Whether it's Comma Club or Comma Initiative, which I'm sure everybody now understands. You have explained to us what you do. So where should we expect to see you in X years, really? Share with us.
Okay, so I want us to be like the #1 source of information and cultural experiences.
Awesome. I love that. I think that's an apt and simple, summary that you have given us. Fantastic. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And at this point, I could stay here with you all evening, but of course, I'm sure many people have other things to do. I want to first say thank you to all of you that have showed up. I know it's not easy to spend 1 hour out of your time just listening to 2 women talking here. And if we didn't have you, it would just have been me and Precious talking to each other. So I am really, really grateful. And there are some people that have always been consistent, appearing every week. Thank you so much for supporting us in this conversation, for your comments, your presence. We look forward to, again, another episode. But before we go, like I said, I love quotes. And I think many of the guests I've been hosting this past few weeks just make me say the same one all the time. And I think I'm going to say the same one to Precious today, because Precious' conversation more or less reminds me of the fact that it says, when I met him, I was looking down. But when I left him, I was looking up. My dear audience, I hope we're all looking up, inspired beyond any doubt that culture is key. We need to be advocates of culture like Precious. We need to be enthusiastic people about culture. We need to all preserve this culture, and we need to see how can we bring it into everything we do, and how can we avoid being judgmental of any culture, because you would agree with me that all cultures are beautiful, and we have so much to share in Nigeria, 36 states, not to talk about the 54 countries of Africa. So let's begin to enjoy and share this culture and make unity and peace be the watchword for everybody, so that we avoid and remove anything that is going to divide us, but instead bind us together. So to end, Precious, you're going to tell us about this headgear. You remember, before I forget, and then my audience will finish me. Please, the story beside this beautiful headgear that makes you look so elegant this evening. Yes.
So it's really a sad story. I know I look very beautiful.
Well, but share with us. Life is full of joys and sorrows.
Last week, sadly, I lost a dear brother of mine, like my direct brother. And I had to, so I had to travel to Jos, which means I would be doing this video actually in the Coma Club studio, but right now I'm in a room. So I came for the funeral, and it's been a very rough time for us. So, but you know, I always want to have my my game face on. You know, I know that my brother would love me to not look sad. So quickly did this. I didn't do this. A friend of mine called Maya's Glam just came in real quick. I was like, can you help me do this? I snatched this from mom's old box, and voila, she did this.
Wow. Thank you so much. My dear and Precious, thank you for reminding me. Know how we can get carried away as strong women, like somebody said. I was going to say, please, a moment of silence, because Precious has heroically agreed to continue with this program, from which I would have cancelled, because I also lost a very close family as well. But we both decided that we were going to still do it. And we are going to now just spend a few seconds of silence to more or less offer up that moment of silent prayer to these people we have lost. So please join us in just a moment of silence before we wrap up for the evening. Thank you. May the souls of the brother of Precious and my relative and all those that we know rest in perfect peace. Thank you so much, my dear audience, and thank you, Precious, for sharing.
I wanted to find out, are you going to save this on your lives?
Absolutely. You will get it there after this.
All right.
Yes, definitely. And you can download it as well and watch it later on as well. I should be saying thank you. I'm honored to have had you, Precious, and being strong even during this time of this grief and they have shared with us. So thank you so much. May God continue to be your strength and keep doing what you're doing. Thumbs up. Thank you. So, my dear audience, catch you for good night. Thank you for being with us tonight. See you in another episode of Be Inspired.
Thank you.
Yours truly, Ms.B here. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.